I'm Roy Dobb. I went to King Edward Road School from 1940 to 47. And then I was transferred, then I went to Oswin Avenue Secondary Modern School, as it was known then. So I lived on St Catherine Avenue, down Carr Hill. But I was an evacuee. I was born in Bermondsey, 200 yards from Tower Bridge. And at the bottom of our street were all the food wharves. It was the main port, and all ships used to come in, bringing food and that. When war broke out and they started evacuating, we were one of the first, because they said the Tower Bridge and wharves first to get shut it, because it would remain docking for all ships coming in bringing food, etc. And all pregnant women had got to go as well. Well, Father said, there's no way my kids is going anywhere. You know, I'll sort them. So I was taken to an aunt's in Bentley at Doncaster, West End. And my younger sister was taken to his other sisters at Hucknall, because she'd got a girl, and I was going where my cousin was. Oh, terrible. Hated it. Put on a train, King's Cross. Somebody met me at the other end. And I started my school days at Bentley School. And I hated it, because I was a foreigner. They didn't understand me and I didn't understand them. So after, I think it was 8 months before we all got back together, because Mother was sent to Eastbourne. She had to go to this school at bottom of the street. And she didn't know where she was going, but she finished up at Eastbourne. Father came to Doncaster and lived with his brother, because we got to get out, and kept the Beehive Hotel in Doncaster. And he went to work. He got him a job at Co-op Taylor's across the road. To Cooperative Mutual Society, I think it was called then, as I remember. It was just near Jacob's Corner, across the road from Jacob's Corner. And he knew a lot of people, my Uncle Jim, because he was a magistrate and a councillor and that. So he knew people, and he managed to get us this house at Carr Hill. Anyway, when we moved in there, I had to change school again, because there was no room at King Edward, so I had to go to Woodfield. Used to walk through allotments in the morning, cut that way through Crossbank and that way. And I wasn't happy there. No, I have horrible memories there. Then I went to King Edward Road. King Edward Road Infants. As far as I can remember now, everything seemed to change. I don't know whether it's because I got used to being round here or what, but I always remember being happy there and going to juniors as well. When I met all these friends I was at school with then, when I started school reunion, they were all saying, weren't the happy days? I've got, in my case, a friend of mine that was at school with us at King Edward Road, joined our club, and she wrote out, I'll have to let you read it really, a day at school and what it was like during war years and having to go to shelter during the day and that. And it, very, very interesting reading. Very interesting. Mr. Mason was headmaster there. Very nice chap. I got on with him very well because I knew him because he used to go shooting at the farm where I was at. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find the letter that I had. I'm still looking, that he gave to me to take to the farm because he wanted to know what were, you know, the birds were like. Anyway, I wasn't very good at PT, or that's what we called it then. Wasn't very good at all. But I like gardening, and at Oswin Avenue we had chickens and rabbits and that. And Mr. Mason says, don't you bother going doing PT. He says, go on up and see the chickens and do it. And I spent quite a lot of time up in garden. Well, maybe sometimes I ought to have been in lessons. And then Mr. Mason left and RV Taylor took over. And it was all change. They changed the classes. We were all moved from one class to another, north, south, east and west groups. And you know, that year was split there. There's one thing I can remember more than what, when RV Taylor took over, there were no queuing outside headmaster's office on the morning if you were late for school. And Mr. Mason would come out with stick and music. What? Get back to your class. Get back to your class. Don't be late tomorrow. Get back to your class. That stopped. So I remember Mr. Taylor, RV Taylor, headmaster. He was a very, very nice, quietish sort of fella. I mean, it's a few years, a long time ago now, but he was a very nice fella. And the old, like, temperament at school seemed to change somehow. But there were happy days for me because I was brought up, do as you're told. And in them days, you didn't go home and tell your dad you'd had sticker out or you got some more, you should have behaved yourself. We had a school trip to Stratford-on-Avon. We set off on the bus. It was mixed, boys and girls, and we set off on this bus. We were going to stop at the hostel. His first port of call was a fish farm at Carverton in Nottinghamshire. And that was very interesting. In fact, that fish farm is still going. And I have promised myself to try and go and just go back there, because I know if I wanted to take me round. We had a day at Tewkesbury, went up Tewkesbury Cathedral, climbed to the top. I was with a girl called, went up with a girl called Muriel Schofield. That was her name. In fact, I met her, she come to a school club about 50 odd years later. We went to Anne Hathaway's cottage. We learnt a lot about Shakespeare, went to his house. One day we had a free day. Me and my friend Terry Aiscoff went down to the river and said, we'll go out in a canoe. Yeah, loved that. So we sets off, lovely. Anyway, we ain't gone too far, and we saw this pleasure boat coming towards us. So naturally, we went into the side. Well, got nicely into the side. Pleasure boat goes by. Then they get the swash. And it lifted the boat up, but there was a submerged tree trunk underneath. And it lifted the boat up over the tree trunk and dropped us off out at the other side. And we were drowning. And he was upset because he'd got his camera. He was really interested in photography. And because he got his camera wet. Whether it got damaged, I can't remember, and that. I know he was really upset. We were both upset because we were wet through from top to bottom. But we laughed about it and got on with it. At the hostel, the boys and girls were separated. They went to one part of it and we went to the other. But we all mixed. When we were preparing, we prepared vegetables and that before we went out on this day trip wherever we were going. It was help finish off, to clear up and that. It was very, very good, really interesting. I really loved it. And we all had to write about it like on a daily basis. And then write what you've done, and we'd all got these little books, and which you've seen it, haven't you? And they were quite pleased with that. The winter 47 was a bit harsh, well, very harsh. We got plenty of ice on playground. We were all sliding about, making slides, see if we could make them longer and that, We wouldn't be able to do it today. They were happy days. We got nothing, but we were happy. At school, we got to do something. I'd be about 14. I must have been maybe last year. Because we'd had the jobs people, what they call them, I can't remember what they called them in them days, careers. Careers people come round and they said, what would you like to do? I says, well, it's either going to be farming or butchering. And then we got to write about this career. Well, when the careers were there, I saw these books, 2 big books on the meat industry. So I bought them, because I always earned a shilling myself, because there was no pocket money there. As I remember, we were always happy. One of the teachers that took us to Stratford-on-Avon, we had to write a thing about us, what we want to do for a career, and give a talk about it. So I thought, well, I'll do meat. Because I got these meat books, you see, and I got some big sheets of paper, and I transferred sides of beef, sides of pork, and lamb, and then I drew it all and quartered it up, cut it all up into different cuts and parts on beef sheep now, and then I got to give a talk about it. Well, they put it up on an easel, you know how you do. I think I were all afternoon telling them different cuts, what they were for, roasting joints, stewing joints, this, you know, and how in different parts of the country they had different names for the cuts. Halfway through, he went and fetched RV Taylor in. Headmaster's office was next door to our classroom. And he fetched headmaster in to listen to the rest of it. There were all lads were really interested. Because, you know, and even teacher says, I didn't know, or, you know, he were overwhelmed with it because he didn't know. He didn't know all this. And he said he was surprised how much knowledge I had. But when you had been doing it from an early age, you do have this knowledge, don't you? 4 years went by, and mother died, and she was 93. And sorting through her things, I came across this photo of our class at Oswin Avenue in 1947. And I thought, oh look, there's Terry Ayscough there, my best mate. Never seen him for 50, 60 years. So I put a piece in, I think it was, the Free Press weren't interested, it was the Star. And I put this piece in Star, and I got a phone call from John Gilligan, who was in our class, right from infants, and then through Oswin Avenue, and he rang me, and he said he knew somebody else. Anyway, I says, well, we'll have to meet. So I and my wife Glenda went to meet him at Blackstone Crossroads, and it was really enjoyable because he only lived on Clarence Avenue, which is just a street up the road from where I lived. I got another phone call, and there were 4 who said, well, we'll meet at golf club, it's central. It's central for each of them, and it's easy to get to. Because one of them, Derek Williams, was a member there. Or Colin Howard, wasn't it? Yeah. Like, well, Colin Howard. He was in our class and all. So I met there, 4 of us. Then we started reaching out. And before I knew where we were, our first Christmas dinner, there was nearly 100 of us, men and wives. And what a night. And we run that then on for 15, 16, I think it was 16 years when I finished. The number of people that we've contacted, I even found a teacher from King Edward Road, we called her Miss Lawson then, and I remember Ken Warrillow, he lived on Car Hill opposite Harrison's Woodyard. He was in our class. He used to take, every Friday, she'd give him a letter to put in post box, and it was to a boyfriend that was in the RAF. And she told us when she came up, and she was 92, when she came to one of our meetings, she told us that she married him, but he unfortunately had passed away. And she came to 2 of our meetings, drove herself all the way up from Oxford. And I'm still in touch with her daughter, because she thought it were lovely. She said, my mother, she said, I've never seen her so happy about it. She said she thought it were absolutely fantastic. And I remember now, every Friday afternoon, she used to read us Enid Blyton, well, I think it was Enid Blyton, Famous 5 or 5 Go Adventuring, I think it was, something like that. Swallows and Amazons. And I've seen it advertised on television, so I've recorded it because I want to watch it. It'll bring back happy memories. We used to sit quiet in school there, you know, were lovely. That's what I say, happy days. For all we'd got nothing. My school days, as I remember, were always happy.
If you would like to know more about the Ossie Through the Ages project, then please email me at Tony Armstrong 1959 @outlook.com. Thank you.